Pay him at base, and the mamash the top of the page. Tan Rabbanan. The rabbis taught in a brisa, Mitzvah Seir. Someone carries hair. Usually hair is thrown out. But apparently it has some uses. How much hair would be useful? It doesn't say enough to make a shaitel. It says to make clay. They would mix it into clay. They probably ground it or dissolved it. And so how much clay? You need two measurements here because it's one dependent on the other. And tit is k'dei pikur shel tzarfei zav. This is to make the opening to attach the bellows to the crucible. So they had to use clay to use that.
Check the microphones.
Yeah. Okay. Sid. Sid is lime. It's usually used to remove hair. They put it on, and either these materials, either they burn away the hair or they stick tight and then they pull it off and the hair comes out. One or the other. What's it called? Those creams that people used to use? Those
depilatory.
Depilatory. They used to use it like a popsicle stick. They would like rub it off. The from people that shaved,
mm-hmm.
they didn't want to use a razor, so they used these creams.
Mm-hmm.
They probably turned the skin red, like because it would burn a little bit, and they would have to take it off quickly.
Just make a comment. The reason I show the red hand is because lime, and this is important, is lamasa, not halach lamasa, but just lamasa. If you use lime juice, first of all, lime juice stains the skin. So if you ever see bartenders or people and they have these brown rashes between their fingers, it's because they're squeezing lime juice and the juice gets in between fingers. Or a kid that's sucked on a lime can get it here. But the main thing is lime juice causes a photosensitivity reaction. So if someone has a drink or something with lime juice or spills lime juice on themselves, this is painted red, the hand, but they go outside, that area will turn red, like a sunburn, could even blister. So just be careful. Lime juice is not orange juice or lemon juice. It really can cause a red hand, but that's a painted hand.
But I understood when we're talking about lime, I thought we're always talking about limes, the stone, the limestone. It was from the...
Oh, but later on, the Gemara talks about juice from lime.
I thought it was somehow they pulverized it.
Well,
I don't know.
Either way, I talked about lime juice.
Okay, interesting. Okay, let's see. Sid, this lime, k'dei lasad, is to use as a plaster. How much? So, tana k'dei lasad etzbak. Starting in a brisa to put on a small finger. A small finger, yeah. Shababonis of the young girls. What would it do? So it would make the skin red. Probably means what it means is make it soft. Maybe I'm not sure. Soft or red. When
you rub something really hard, it turns red.
Right.
So if you were talking about a limestone, then maybe that would be it.
Right. I think they put it on like a clay, and then when they would take it off, it would turn red. So Rav Yehuda says the name of Rav, Banais. It's actually removing here. It's Gila Pirkan means they reach maturity, which means they already have hairs on their body other than on their head, other hairs are growing, but they're not old enough to have those hairs, so they remove them. So it's removing hairs from young girls. So how do they remove them? So b'nai saniyim teifles esim besid. These, if they're poor, so then they use this limestone. I think it's a stone. B'nai sashirim teifles esim beselis. But if they're wealthy, then they use flour. And b'nai malachim teifles esim b'shemen amar. And if they're princesses, then they use myrrh oil. Gemara's going to discuss what's going on with this myrrh oil. Shenemar shisha chadashim shemen amar. 6 months in shemen amar. I understood that shemen amar, not the way they taught me in school, that it was to make them smell good, but I thought that myrrh oil was like also a disinfectant. And the king or whoever was going through these women rather quickly. He had them soak 6 months. I don't know. My shemen amar. What are they doing with shemen amar? Rav Huna bar Chia amar satkes. Shemen amar is satkes. What does that do for me? It's another word I don't know. But on the side it says shemen mevusim. It's a fragrant oil, which I don't know if that means it's essential oil or if that means it's an oil that's soaking myrrh in it, like an olive oil, soaking myrrh in it that gets a fragrance. Miradachya, the Aruch says. Okay, it's again, myrrh. Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar, Shemen Zayis Levi Shlish. When we're talking over here about the Shemen Amar, we're actually talking about olive oil that's from young olives. And because they're unripe, so they're more acidic, and we'll remove here. Shleivia shlish, it means it didn't even ripen 1/3. Tanya was taught in the Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda and piknein. This is unripe olive oil, as it's going to say. Shemen zay shleivia shlish. That's what they would use. That's the shemen amar. They would use this on piknein. And I say, why would they put this on? Shemasher asasayar, it removes the hair, uma'adan abasar, and it softens the flesh. Rav Bibi havale brate. Rav Bibi had a daughter. Tafla Aver. Is Rav Bibi Barabaya?
I don't know. Here it says Rav Bevoi.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
No, I could read that Rav Bevoi as well, and I would read Rav Bevoi Barabaya as well. Rav Bevoi, that's no problem. I'll adjust that.
I'm not sure.
Yeshiva pronunciation. Yeah, you can tell with someone what yeshiva he went to if he says Rav Bevoi or Rav Bibi. My students, now that they're on Zoom, so I can tell if they're using an English Gemara because they mispronounce the English words when they're reading. So anyway, or even when I'm reading the Hebrew, I can tell they read the vowels different than the way I say it. Okay, so Rav Bevoi Havale Brate, he had a daughter, and Tafla Aver, he removed the hair, or he softened the skin, but limb by limb. And she became so beautiful that Shakel Bey Dalid Meyes Zuzi, he got a dowry. Usually the father gives. He got for her marriage 400 coins, 400 zuz. Rashi adds in that it was, of course, someone that was worthy of marrying her. So Hava Hunachi b'shivusei, there was a non-Jew in the neighborhood that Havale Brat also had a daughter. So wow, this was a good thing to do. So Tafla b'chad zimna, he put this on all in one time, I guess on her whole body. A mason, she died from it. So Omar Katal Rav Bevoi Lebrate said Rav Bevoi killed my daughter. He tried to copy it, but he didn't do it exactly. So Rav Bevoi should have said, "Don't try this at home." and unless you know what you're doing. Amar Rav Nachman, Rav Bevai, the Shasi Shechra. Rav Nachman says, Rav Bevai that drank beer, Vayin bin Tifla. So his daughter needs to remove the hair. Anand Leishasin Shechra, Leibin bin Tifla. We don't have to remove the hair from our daughters because we don't drink beer. They say like whiskey make you grow hair. So apparently the beer made them grow hair, and they had to remove it. Rav Nachman says we don't have to remove it. If it's Rav Nachman, then it's not Rav Bevi Barabaya. I thought Rav Bevi Barabaya, he was the one that tried this thing to see the demons. Remember in Brachas, he tried something. Anyway, I thought, he's an experimenter, so he tried something over here also. But it can't be because Rav Nachman is earlier than Rabbi Barabai. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Kedei Lasad Kilkal. Rabbi Yehuda says, how much of this plaster? So we learned the opinion of the Tanakama that it's a small finger, to put it on the small finger of a girl. Rabbi Yehuda says to put it on the temple. Now, Rabbi Yehuda is usually more machmer than the Tanakama, and what that tells me is that Rabbi Yehuda would always have smaller shiurim than the Tanakama. Smaller shiurim means more machmer. Not like a smaller shiur for kiddush. Smaller shiur to be chayev in a malacha. Even if you do a smaller amount, you're chayev. My kilkel, my andife. So Rabbi Yehuda says to put it on the temple, and Rabbi Nechemia said to put it on the andife. Doesn't tell us what the kilkel is. I translate it as the temple. And andife, it doesn't tell us. So Rav says that kilkel and andife, those two measurements, are tzida ubas tzida. That means tzida is the side, the temple, and bas tzida probably means lower over here. So they're removing here that's growing on the temple or beneath the temple. They have some like sideburns. They're removing that here. The Meimra, the Shir, the Rabbi, the Nafesh, that area is probably larger than the finger, than the Rabbanan. Rabbi has a larger Shir. HaKaimel the Shir, the Rabbanan Nafesh. We've always said that the rabbis have a larger Shir. Rabbi Yehuda was more Machmer in Hilchos Shabbos. The Gemara answers, Zuta mid Rabbanan v'Nafesh mid Rab Nechemia. It's actually smaller than the Rabbanan Shir, which means it is more Machmer, but it's larger than Rab Nechemia. As Rab Nechemia is even more Machmer than Rabbi Yehuda. It goes in 3 steps here. The Rabbanan have the largest, Rabbi Yehuda is the middle, Rab Nechemia is the smallest share. Meisvei, there's a question. Amar Rabbi near and Rabbi Yehuda bechavat v'div Nechemia bebeitzas hasid. Rabbi says that he accepts Rabbi Yehuda's opinion if it's dissolved limestone. It's crushed. And he accepts Rabbi Nechemia's opinion if it's a block. That's smaller size if it's a block of limestone. Now, both of these the way we described Andifi and Kilkel are removing here. Now, to remove here, both of them used crushed limestone. So Visal Kadaitach Tzida Bas Tzida, if we're saying we're talking about the temple or beneath the temple, that's the Machlekes, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia, the size of this limestone that's being carried. Idi v'idi chabot, both of them you use the crushed limestone. Elam Rabbi Yitzchak, Amri Debei Rabami, Andifa. Rabbi Yitzchak says, they said in the house of Rabami that they're using it as a stopper in a barrel. Apparently they would open barrels on the bottom, on the side towards the bottom, to let the wine out, but then they would have to to reuse that barrel, they would have to plug it up. So what would they use to plug it up? They would make this andifi, it would be called. They would have to close it off on the bottom. Andifi. Not sure what the word is coming from, but Rashi, for some reason, tells me that there's two spouts on a barrel, one on the top and one on the bottom. And when they would fill it up, that's what Rashi's telling me. Andifi means two opens. Andi means two, and P means the mouth. So there's two mouths. So they'd have to open it. Yeah, I see. So they would have to, I guess it was like a valve that it won't drain if there's no air, another opening on the top. So they would have to open it in two places to let it out. Okay, Maskefla Rav Kana. Rav Kana has a question on this. Okay, so we just switched. We're not talking about the temple. We're talking about the stopper in a barrel. Maskefla Rav Kana. Rav Kana has a question. On price. Person throws his money to waste. He uses a limestone in the stopper. As a stopper, it's going to dissolve. Lime is a soft rock that dissolves. That's the problem with the what's it called when the earth collapses? The sinkholes. It's lime. It's over a little time it dissolves, and then there's no bedrock left or whatever. The water gets in, or liquid gets in, and it disappears. Elam Rav Kana says, shnosis. We're not actually using a stopper on the inside with the liquid inside. And that's not what we're doing. We're making markings on the outside to say the size of how much is inside. This is a measuring cup. Kidetnan, as it was taught in the Mishnah, shnosis sayabihin, there were markings on the side in the hin. Hin is a measurement. And it would say, ad kan lepar, ad kan la'ayal, ad kan lekeves. How much wine or oil was poured along with the different animals that were brought, the nesachim. So they used one container, and it was a measuring cup. On the side, they would have to have until here. How would they tell how full it was? If it was glass, that's easy. If it's not glass, how do you see through? Yes, you imagine. You look inside, you look on the outside, it looks about right. That's how they do it. Iba Yasema, another pshat, Mayan Difa is a pusa. Talking about the forehead. So we're not removing here. Now, we're just turning it red or soft. We'll show you where this word came in, because there was this fellow from the Galilee, must have been a great rabbi, the Ikla Bavel, he came to Bavel. The Amrle, they told him, Kum Durashlana b'maiser Merkava, teach us the secrets of the chariot. Appropriate for Shavuos. The secrets of the Torah that you're not allowed to teach, really. So Amrle, I'll teach it to you the way Reb Nechemia taught it to his friends. And he said that Benafka Iriisa min Kaisel, a wasp, a hornet, came out of the wall of Machdi Bandife and stung him on his forehead. Umis, and he died. Vamrle min Dilei Dalei. From his own, this is what he gets. I guess he said it in an arrogant way, which is arrogance is associated with the forehead. And so he gets stung on the forehead. What we're bringing from that is just the word, andifi. Andifi. That's what it seems. The benefit of saying that it's the forehead versus the temple or the beneath the temple is that you don't need to remove the hair from the forehead. It's just to redden the skin. Then I can use a stone that's not crushed. Like Yossi said, it was rubbed probably or something. If a stone that was crushed, I would then take it off and it would tear out the hair. Okay, the next Mishnah. Adama, earth, carrying earth, is the seal, amount that was used on a seal on large sacks. Rashi describes these more than sacks, this is like crates. They were used on boats. So, Div Rabbi Akiva, that's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. The Chum say no. It's much smaller. It's the amount that's used to seal a letter. Much smaller than to seal a crate. Zevel, fertilizer, v'choladak, and very thin sand, kadei lezavel kelach shel kruv. We mentioned this in passing once. Is to fertilize a cabbage, one cabbage stalk. Doesn't sound like a lot. You put down some fertilizer on the cabbage. It's a small plant. The Rabbi Akiva, that's what Rabbi Akiva says. Chum say it's even smaller than that. It's enough to fertilize a leek, which is smaller than a cabbage. Cholagas, if there's thick sand. Kedelitin al mole kaf sid. That's to put over a spoon of sid, of limestone. So they're putting on the sand on the limestone. Apparently there was some mixture there that was beneficial. And how much sand is considered carrying, the amount that you could put on a spoonful of this, that ratio. Kana, a reed, kdelas kolmes, to make a quill. They used reeds as well, not just feathers. So I mentioned once that someone wanted a get. He came to the rabbi from Dav Bezdin by us, and but he was a vegetarian or a vegan or something. He refused to allow the rabbi to use a quill of turkey feather. So the rabbi went to this Arab market, and he got a reed, an Arabic art store. He got a reed to write the get. So, which is acceptable. It's not the custom, but it's acceptable. Okay, so they use a reed, enough to make a quill. If it's thick, it's too thick, I guess, to use as a quill. Or if it's russus means it's like shredded. If it's shredded, then it needs to be enough to cook an egg, an easy cook, an easy egg trufa, which is like scrambled, I guess, for nesuna beilfis, and put into a pot. Ilfis, I think, is a metal pot, I think. I don't remember if the ilfis is metal. I think the ilfis is metal, and that's the point over here, that it cooks faster in a metal pot. Clay takes longer to heat up. Okay. Al-Malis Kaf Sid, it says it was put on top of a spoon of Sid. Tana Kedelitin al Pi Kaf Shel Sayadin. It's not just a spoon, any spoon. It's a specific spoon of the people that use plaster. Man Tana Dechol Ma'al Sid. Who's the opinion that holds that sand is supposed to mix, and it's beneficial if you mix sand together with the plaster? Rav Chisda Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Chisda says it's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya was taught in a brayso, la yosad adam espesi besid. Elam ken erev by teven eichal. The rabbis hold that after the destruction of the temple, you cannot make your house entirely white. So therefore, it shouldn't look so perfect. We don't have the temple. So what you're supposed to do is make it a little bit off-white, by adding in straw or sand into the plaster. That means that the sand actually ruins the whiteness of the plaster. That's the Rabbi's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda says straw makes it off-white, which means it's not perfectly white, and that's why you're allowed to use it even though the temple is destroyed. But the sand is also mipneshu traxid. Traxid apparently is a stronger type of plaster. It actually improves it. So Rabbi Yehuda holds that the sand improves the plaster. You're not allowed to use that to have such a perfect house. And so therefore on Shabbos, it's the amount of sand that you would mix into a spoonful of plaster. Rava says, you don't have to say this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that says that mixing in sand improves the plaster. I can't use the plaster until I mix the sand in. And I know it doesn't improve the looks of it, but it does improve the halachic usage of it, which is I am not allowed to use the plaster until I mix sand in. And now I mix sand in. Why do I mix the sand in? Because it ruins the plaster. But the fact is now I'm allowed to use it once it's ruined. Rava's point is that, look, you get the same usage out of it, whether it's improving or not, it becomes, we know the amount of the sand being mixed to the plaster. The reed to make a quill. A quill that reaches the knuckles. Which knuckles? I don't know exactly which knuckles, even after they ask the question. Are they asking the question, this knuckle here? And maybe it means the wrist, because Rashi says, be'emtza yad. I guess it means the wrist. The Rebbe had a secretary that one day had he was writing with a tiny pencil. Like, we used to use them down all the way to the bottom. It was writing with this. No, it was a different, wasn't one of the, I forgot his name. But anyway,
Wasn't it Rubenstein?
I don't remember that name. But
he was writing with a little stub of a pencil.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, but the Rebbe commented to him, don't you have a larger pencil? So he said, oh, I do. And he pulled out, they used to have these, they would get like in the amusement park, these big pencils. He pulled out from his pocket this big pencil. He did it like just to set it up for this joke, to make the Rebbe laugh. So anyway.
Rabbi,
yeah.
Rashi comments on the two joints that the first one is the PIP, the proximal, actually it's the BIP, distal, and the second one is the middle
of the
joint.
finger.
Well, according to Rashi, that's what I think I'm reading.
I didn't know what Rashi meant because one of them is be'emtza hayad. Oh, you're right. Be'emtza hayad doesn't mean the whole arm. That would be the zraya. Be'emtza hayad would just mean this. Be'emtza hayad must mean this one over here, where the fingers connect to the palm.
So that's either the proximal or the middle one. I mean, depending
and the
on
other one would be either the first joint or the second.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They
To
said
make up for the wrong line.
the older Hasidim used to say that after that Maskir passed away, the Rebbe never had anybody like that who would do things like that for him, make him laugh and so forth.
Interesting. And if it was thick, that couldn't be used as a quill, so you could use it. So the measurement then switches to what you can use to cook an egg. So tana trufa b'shemen v'nesuna be'ilfas. It means that it's mixed scrambled with oil and put into this ilfas, which is a pot. This means a fried egg. Cooks very quickly. So you only need a small quill to cook an egg like that. Amalei Marbrei de Ravina Lebrei. Marbrei de Ravina, Mar, the son of Ravina, says to his son. This is the son of Marbrei de Ravina. He says, Mishmielach Beitza Kala Mahi. Do you know what is a Beitza Kala? When it says a small egg, commonly we only have chicken eggs. But then they used eggs, whatever, from the birds. They had other eggs. Amalei Beisa de Tziltzla. He says it's a small bird, the egg of a small bird. I don't know. I forget. The Steinsaltz, I think, said a sparrow, a dove is one of the birds. My timer, what's the reason? Mishum dezucha, it's small. So he says, oh, it's small. Ema de tziparta, maybe it's even smaller. Maybe it's this other bird. Has to be a kosher bird, of course. Ishtik, he was quiet. Amalei midi shmielach baha. So now Marbrei de Ravina's son asks Marbrei de Ravina, he says, do you know anything about this? He says, Amalei hachim Rav Sheshes. He says, yes, it turns out that I actually do. He says, so says Rav Sheshes. Beitzas Tanagolas. Doesn't have to do with the small egg. Beitzas Tanagolas is not the smallest of the eggs. It's the larger eggs, actually. Eggs from a chicken, from a hen. So why is it called a light egg? The sages said the easiest egg to cook. You need the least fuel to cook a egg from a chicken. We have a good question. All Shiri Shabbos are the size of a dried fig. Now you're saying if you carry a quill that you can't really use as a quill, it's a reed, it has a problem with it, it's shredded or it's too fat. So we say enough that it needs to be enough wood in it to be able to fuel the cooking of an egg. Why cooking of an egg? Cooking of something the size of a dried fig. The Gemara answers, when we said egg, we weren't referring to the size. We said egg, we're referring to the material that's being cooked. How much of an egg? Yeah, it turns out the dried fig of an egg. The egg is telling me how quickly it cooks. But we didn't mention that we're talking the size of that is only a dried fig of it. Okay. The Mishnah says, Etzem k'deilasis tarvid. A bone, enough, if someone carries a bone, that's enough to make a spoon. Rabbi Yudaima k'deilasis mimenu chaf. To make a key. Yeah, my kids just told me they get this magazine called The Circle. It's a kids magazine. Anyway, one of my kids told me that, George Washington had false teeth, but they were teeth from other human beings. I think he said it was probably from slaves or something. He took the teeth out and he used them. So anyway, here we're talking about keys, the teeth in the keys. They would make it out of bones. Okay. Zchuches, what about glass? Kidei ligur b'reisha karkar. Karkar is some tool that's used in the weaving process. And they would take glass to sharpen this tool, to sharpen the top of it. Maybe they used it to go in between the threads that needed to be sharp. Tzertzer even, pebbles or rocks, to throw at a bird to chase it away. That if it would be that big, you're not going to throw sand at the bird, but a small pebble could throw at a bird to chase it away. In others, we're looking for things that are useful. And at this minimal size, that's going to be, a person's going to be chayav on Shabbos. So Rabbi Yaakov says, you don't have to throw rocks at birds to chase them away. You give a shout that chases the bird away. He says, at an animal, you have to throw something to chase it away. In Florida, we would say to throw at an iguana. Okay, L'meimra, Is this to say the Shiura de Rabbi Yehuda Nafesh? Rabbi Yehuda says to make a key. And the Tanakama said to make a spoon. So Hakaimal and Shiura de Rabbanan Nafesh, we always said that the rabbis were more lenient and they had larger sizes. And Rabbi Yehuda has the smallest size. Amar Ula, Chafi Pesechas. It's not the whole key. It's the teeth of the key. So that's why Rabbi Yehuda's measurement is much smaller. And they're making this out of bone. So Tana Rabbanan, starting in the Brisa, Chafi Pesechas Tahirin, Kavim B'Pesachas Tmeim. These teeth are tahar because they're just, each one are just, they're not receptacles. The only thing that's going to be tamei is if it actually is a receptacle. But these are not receptacles; these are straight things. And so, but once they're attached to the key, then it's a different story. Once they're attached to the key, then the key is metal; they become tamei along with the key. V'shel gal, however, if it's part of the structure, afal pi shechibrin bedelas v'kavim b'mismarin tahirin. Even if it's attached to the door, attached with nails, it's always going to be tahar. As we said that if the teeth of the key are not attached to the key, so then they're tahar, but once they're attached to become tamei, the opposite is in the lock itself. In the lock itself, the more it's attached, the more tamei it is. The more it's attached, the more tar it is, because anything that's attached to the ground becomes tar. If it's attached to the ground, it's like the ground, it doesn't become tummy. We said that the glass is used to scrape this instrument that's used in the weaving process. It's actually the glass, if you can cut two threads with it, then that's already big enough. It's already big enough to.
Why not one thread? I mean, if it can cut one, it can cut five. I mean, what's that?
Yeah, I think it means that for one thread, two threads at the same time, it needs to be slightly longer. That's I think what it means. Yeah. To throw a rock large enough that you can throw at a bird. Rabbi Lezer says no at an animal. Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, v'hushema geshes. It has to be able to feel that it was being hit. And you can throw anything, but it might not feel it. We're talking about that it's effective, that it feels it. B'kamashir, how big is that? Tana Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, Vaymer Mishkal Asar Zuz, to be the weight of 10 coins. Yeah. Okay, Zunin, this is a person. I see. George Washington, Steve. Al-Labay Midrasha, Zunin went into the Beis Medrash. Amru lahu, he says to the people in the Beis Medrash, Amru lahu, Rabbi Sai. That's how he calls them, I guess. Avarim shel Beis HaKisei shir mekama. How big are the stones of the bathroom? Now, there's two possibilities here. You're allowed to carry stones in a courtyard, of course. The problem is stones could be muktzah, but stones that are used are not muktzah. And maybe it's talking about, I'm not sure if it's talking about a courtyard that doesn't have an Eruv. And you're still allowed to carry it in order to be able to clean yourself after the bathroom. could be that's the pshat. I'm not sure. I didn't get this clear. I don't know if there's a comment in the art scroll or something. However, if you do carry it in Rosh Hashanah, then the person would be chayiv. So he's asking, what's the measurement of the stones that would have these halachic, this halachic significance, that it's considered the stones in the bathroom that has this leniency, and also it's considered a useful stone that if you carry it, you'll be chayiv. They responded, Amrlai, kazayas kegus kabeya. The size of an olive, the size of a walnut, the size of an egg. You need 3 different stones. Amrlahu, v'chiturtini yachnes. Are you going to take a balance scale into the bathroom every time to measure your stones to see if it's exactly the right size stone? Nimnu v'gamru. So they decided, mulayayad, it's just a handful of stones. Exactly how big each one was, that it didn't, it's just a handful of stones. That's what's going to have the shear of the stones for the bathroom. They would use stones that were flat stones that were able to clean. Tanya, starting a brisa. I don't know what's going on in the market, but if people rarely ran out of toilet paper, they'd open up Daf Pei Aleph and Shabbos to see what size stones to use. Back to the olden days. Tanya was taught in a brisa, Rabbi Yomi, kazayas kegus ukabeya. Exactly what they said. An olive, the size of an olive, the size of a walnut, and the size of an egg. Reb Shimon bar Rabbi Yosi Yomer mishamav mlayayad. Reb Shimon bar Rabbi Yosi, I don't know if they're adjusting this name here. He says in the name of his father, Rabbi Yosi, that it's a handful. Also like what they said. Okay. Tana Rabbanan. Tana Nebraisa. Gimel avonim mekuzalas mutlachnas lebesakise. You're allowed to carry in to the bathroom 3 stones, 3 sharp, flat stones to use to clean yourself. Kamashirin, how big are they? Reb Meir Mika Egos. Reb Meir's opinion is the size of a walnut. Rabbi Yehuda Mika Beya, he says the size of an egg. Amar Rafram Bar Papa, so Rafram Bar Papa says, Amar Rav Chizda, Machlekes kan kach machlekes besri. He says the name of Rav Chizda. We have a machlekes between Reb Meir Oh, wow. Isn't that interesting? We have a machlekes, Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, also the size of an esrog, how big an esrog is supposed to be. So one says that it's the size of, it needs to be the size of a walnut. The other one says it needs to be the size of an egg. So it's so interesting because in Shabbos it says, what are the size of the nuts, of the rocks that a person uses in the bathroom? And it's machlekes Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, the size of a walnut, the size of an egg. Same machlekes. Machlekes in Shabbos is a machlekes by esrog in Masechtas Sukkah. So the Gemara asks, Chasa masnisa al-chabraisa. You say that the machlekes there is like the machlekes here. The machlekes here is like the machlekes there. You're comparing it to over there. Over there, that's a mishnah that gives you those measurements. Over here, it's just a brisa. Where's the zelka machlekes beser kach machlekes kan? Okay, let's change it around. Compare it to over here. In other words, the main place is the esrog. That's where we know there's a machlekes Reb Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. And so too is a machlekes over here. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, avaleyas a pious. Rabbi Yehuda says, but not the pious. My pious. What is pious? Amar Rav Zera kashini bablaisa. This is apparently types of stones that were in Bavel that crumble. And that's not supposed to be used. Rava says you can't use if someone wasn't able to use the bathroom, maybe it means constipated, so he would try to open up the opening with the stone he would relieve himself easier. So Rava says that whatever you would do in the weekday, to do this, you shouldn't do on Shabbos. The Gemara asks, one second, Maskav Lamarzucha, Listakin. So what do you want him to do? Should God become ill? Go into danger? It says, no, kalachiyad. Doesn't mean that you can't do this at all. It just means that you don't do it in the same way that you do it during the weekday. That's not how you do it on Shabbos. You do kalachiyad means in a backhanded, in an abnormal way. You know what it means exactly. The Gemara's question was, because we've learned several times that if someone needs the bathroom and doesn't go to the bathroom, you could get these things, jaundice and dropsy and not good stuff. So Amar Rabbi Yanai, im yesh makom kavua lebeis hakisei malay hayad, v'im lav kehechra. If there's a set place that he's going to be using the bathroom, then he can carry in a handful of stones and he'll reuse them. And if not, then kehechra. Then you use the average amount, which we said was like we had three measurements here, right? We had a walnut, an egg. What was the other one? And a kazayas. So the walnut was the average. Then you just take in the size of a walnut. Meducha ketana shel b'samim, a small grinder. Amar Rav Sheshes, im yesh ala eid, then it's mutter. If you know that it's made for that, one second, let me see what this means. Oh, it's kehechra meducha ketana shel b'samim. I have to put that together. If he doesn't have a fixed place, then he brings in an average size stone, which is the size of a small mortar used for crushing spices, which we said the first Rashi brings that it means the size of a nut. But then there's another halacha here. That if these stones that were used for crushing, they're allowed to be used now in the bathroom. I guess it would change its usage. Once it was used once for the bathroom, I guess they can use it again. So Rav Shesha says if there's an indication that it was already used in the bathroom, then it's mutter. I don't know what the indication would be, but maybe it was dirty. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. Asar dvarim meviya mesadim l'dei tachtonius. There's 10 things that cause a person to get hemorrhoids. Ve'eluhein ha'eichel alikanim. We had this before. If someone eats leaves of the reeds, aligafanim, leaves of the grapevines, lulve gafanim. These are the tendrils of the vine. The vine, it climbs. Right? Merige behema b'lei melach. This is parts of the animal that are rough, like the palate of the animal. It has small protrusions. V'shidrei shel dag, the spine of when it wasn't salted. The spine of a fish. V'dag maliach shel bishul kol tzarkai, or a salty fish that was not fully cooked. Does that mean that it wasn't fully salted? It didn't stay in the salt long enough. Hashaysa shimri yayin, someone who drinks the bottom of the barrel of the wine, the dregs. Mekaneach b'sid b'charsis, someone that uses lime or broken clay to clean himself. Or if he uses a stone that his friend had already used in the bathroom. Here's our problem. We said before that if it was used in the bathroom, you can use it again. Now we have a problem because we're saying that this is something that's dangerous. Okay, but let's first finish the brayso. Also, some say someone that Taylor means he spends a long time. No, he doesn't sit down in the bathroom. Okay, so we have to answer our question that we said before, that if it was used in the bathroom once, you're allowed to use it again, and here you say that you're not allowed to. It says like kasha, ha balach, ha biyavish. It depends if the stone is moist or if it's dry. Which tells me if it's moist, then you shouldn't use it, and if it's dry, then you can use it. Another pshat, another way of answering is that if it was used on one side or if it was used on both sides. Okay. Other simple answer is it depends if it was used by him before or if it was used by someone else before. That's an easy answer. Amalei Abaya l'Rav Yosef. Says, let's say Abaya is a student of Rabbi Yosef. He asks Rabbi Yosef, let's say if the rain fell on it, and now you don't know if it was used before to know if you're allowed to use the stone again. Are you allowed to? Is it permitted to move the stone? Because it rained, it got cleaned off. Amalei, then it's mutter. It has to still have an indication. Okay, then it's going to be mutter. Rabbi Hananel apparently says that it's talking about that it sank into the ground. Are you allowed to remove it out of the ground? And Rabbi Yosef responded that if the stones are noticeable still from above the ground, then you're allowed to take them out. It's not considered digging. Okay, let's leave it right there by the Boimine.